right, so unfortunately the KAT is down. We're gonna have to do a head gasket on this thing. But how did we even get there? Whole lot of catching up to do on that. But yeah, since our last video last year, it's the first video of 2025 now. So I guess we'll start the year off right with some videos. But yeah, done a few events, and I had one last event on the calendar for 2024, which was the Chase Bays event. And my buddy Scott and myself, we were planning on going to that event. So we both made a big push to get our cars ready for that event. With that, we both got some different upgrades for our cars, and we ended up spending probably 2-3 weeks in the shop getting the cars prepped. I hadn't driven this car really much last year at all. Most of the year I was driving my Mustang, which if you don't know me in real life and you only watch this channel, you probably don't even know I have that. So maybe we'll go over that at another time. But yeah, did some upgrades, got all prepared. We made it to the event, but I'll fill in the gaps of what happened in between. It's been a while again, because it always is. Welcome back to the Full Tune YouTube channel. So I've been doing some work on the S14, and everybody's telling me I should film it. I didn't, so don't look for that in the video, but I'll tell you what I did. Just doing a little bit of updates on it so it'll make a little, handle some more power, because we're getting ready for a really fun event that's coming up in about a week at this point. So if you go back to earlier videos, if you've been around since then, I stopped at about 300 horsepower on this car. I did that so the transmission would stay alive, and it absolutely did. The transmission did not break or anything, and now it's been upgraded. So I ended up going with a 300ZX transmission in this one. I went back and forth between doing a 350Z and 300ZX. It really just kind of depended on availability. I found a good deal on a 300ZX trans, did the MazWorks adapter and all that good stuff. Maybe if I'm feeling good when I edit, I'll throw the pictures that I took of it in the video, but I don't know. We'll see. So other than that, it's all pretty much the same. Still the same turbo setup and everything. It's a little bit dirty under here, but I did add a Chase Bays coolant overflow to it. And I think that's really it. Yeah, just other standard things you do when you do a transmission swap. I did a new clutch in it, which that was right on time, because I actually took this car to its first drift event of the year a couple weeks ago, just to kind of shake it down. When I decided I was going to take it to this event, I was like, well, I should at least go out and drive it. Ended up frying the clutch, and almost got hit by my friend Human when that happened, because it happened right when I decided to start tandeming with the car is when it started slipping. So whatever, but it's all good now, or should be, and pretty much we're just ready to get this car on the dyno and make some more power with it. Now, my car is not the only thing that's getting updated for this event that we got coming up. Scott, Mr. Grip Royal here, hello, has also been doing a few little upgrades on the SR and this thing. This has been a little bit of a long story with this one. Basically, had some issues come up, swapped the motor. It ended up having a really thick head gasket on it, and we think that's probably the source of why it was just so down on power. I mean, this is probably the slowest SR20 that I've ever tuned, and he's probably looking at the camera right now with a face, and I don't even care, because it was an absolute dog. Like it was so bad that I was like, you shouldn't even drive it at all. It struggled to make 300 horsepower. It wouldn't do anything under about 5,000 or 5,500 RPM. And I mean, it doesn't even have a big turbo on it. It's a GTX 2867. it's a turbo that should spool up nice and quick, make a mid 300s on pump gas type of setup, no problem. But that's okay. New head gasket is on, closer to like a factory thickness. I think it's got a 1.1. 1.1. Yeah, so which is the usual upgrade that we would always do on the SRs, in years past, 1.1 millimeter head gasket. Other thing, something I've been complaining about since day one with this car, it had a excessive intake plenum on it. You got it over here, Scott? Yeah. All right, so there's that plenum. As you can see, it's a short runner, big plenum. If you want torque, that's not the manifold you put on your car. And that's just in general, like, design of intake manifolds, like the longer runner and smaller plenum intake manifold on the S13 SR usually works a lot better, and you can maintain some of your low end torque and all that stuff. We saw this years ago, even with everybody would do the Grady intake manifolds or the Freddies, because most people didn't have the real ones, they had the eBay ones. And they always lost a bunch of low end torque, and these things need all the torque that you can get. So maybe in this video, I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but maybe we'll do the dyno session in this one. But we're going to see and be able to overlay the difference from the old setup to this setup. One more big thing. Of course, I love when cars are on E85, so this car is getting switched over to E85. He did do a few different upgrades to support E85. He was able to get some help from DW, Works.
Yep.
Got a fuel rail, a set of their 1500cc injectors. They supplied a fuel filter that's down below where you can't really see it. And then he also did their fuel pump hanger and 400 liter per hour fuel pump. So this thing's got all the fuel it's going to need and then some for the power that it should make. We wanted to go oversized on things like that so that we can allow the ECU to compensate if for some reason we do have low fuel pressure or something like that. We have more injector than we actually need. You don't really want to max out your injectors if you don't have to. I say that, but on my car, because listen to what I say and don't watch what I do, I have just enough injector for probably how much I want to make on mine, but we'll upgrade those later, and that'll just be the stopping point for where I'll make power on that setup. But whatever. So let's move on. I got to get my car off the jack stands, and also it is absolutely filthy, so we'll give it a wash. Right, got her all clean, and I'm gonna tell you, man, this car, like, I know it's not perfect, but I like it, and I think it cleans up really well. The green just it pops when the sunlight hits it, when it's clean and everything. So that was probably the dirtiest it's been in a long time. I had a little off track excursion at Nashville Speedway, so I had a little bit of dirt on it, but yeah, so that part's done. Now I can get to breaking in this clutch. I want to put at least a few miles on it before I put it on the dyno and rip it, because I want to make sure that the thing holds, of course, right? So we're gonna try to turn this thing up, maybe around 350-ish, maybe a little bit more. And the big reason for wanting to turn the power up on this thing is because of where we're going. So I didn't say where we're going early on in the video, but we are going to Polecat, which is a track in middle Tennessee area, I guess you'd say, kind of close to east, but yeah, either way. Really cool track. I've been there a couple times before. The first time I went was with this car, and I need a little redemption, honestly. Like it was like probably it was my first event after a long kind of hiatus from driving and everything. So I really needed probably a little more seat time before going to that track, and it humbled me a little bit. But also I noticed this car could have used a little bit more power there. So we're gonna turn it up. And we're also, you know, of course, doing some things with Scott's car to get it performing like it's supposed to. We really want to be ready for this event because it's actually a pretty special event. It is our friend Chase from Chase Bays. It's his customer appreciation event. He's got, you know, people coming from all over, and it should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of good drivers, a lot of people that we know from, you know, around the country and stuff like that. So it should be a fun time. But I want to make sure the car is, you know, reliable and, you know, has all of what it needs to make it through the 2 days of track time. So yeah, so a little bit more power, make it a little easier to drive, a little more consistent. And then of course we did the upgraded transmission. We got a better clutch in there and all that stuff. So we're gonna get some miles on that clutch. And then probably next segment of the video, we probably will go on the dyno. Maybe with this car, maybe with Scott's car. I don't know what we're gonna see in the rest of this video, but stay tuned. All right, we are back in the shop. Of course, at this point, you've probably seen some clips of my car on the dyno. I did not feel like filming that whole process because you've seen it before, but we made a little bit more power. It's making 350 horsepower now, like 320 foot-pounds of torque, at nice flat torque curve, so that should help a good bit on the track. I just wanted to get a little bit more. I thought about pushing it further in that, but it seemed like a good idea to kind of stay where I'm at. So now,
don't forget to tell them about the power adders.
We're on the hot ice. Hot ice got a cigarette lighter turbo right there. But yeah, this car is back together, and Scott did a great job with it. A few new things on there. We've got some new fans, like 4,000 CFM of electric fan. He went away from the clutch fan just to make things a little easier to work on. He was kind of going through fan clutches often, so decided to get away from that. Mike, Mr. MTR Motorsports, came down and actually made the mounts for it. He spent a Saturday with us down here while we were in the shop working. So pretty cool of him. But yeah, Works 1500cc injectors, their fuel rail, their regulator, got a fuel filter down there, got our flex fuel sensor on, and so far everything is working decently. I got started on the part throttle tuning on it, and everything was going okay, but we actually just, for some reason, tripped the breaker, so Scott's looking into that. That breaker has been on the car for a long time, so hopefully it's just faulty and can just replace it. I had an extra one, so we'll throw that on there, and hopefully we can continue on and try to make some real power out of this thing. Not real power compared to some of the other things that I deal with, I guess, but real power for an SR20, it should be pretty dang good. So here we go. So we're getting some stuff done. We've made a few pulls. Things are actually looking pretty good as far as like gains from before. So I still wish we had more low end torque. There's still something weird about the combination on this car that it just will not make torque early. Like, I want this to be back here, and there's nothing I can do to get it. But still major improvement, same boost level, and you know, everything's a lot better. But just had kind of a little weird thing though. I noticed after a pull it didn't want to idle, and that was kind of strange because it's been idling fine. So I started looking and I saw that the idle set screw, you can see it there, was no longer touching the stop on the rotor. Well, that whole thing has moved out, and the reason why, you can look down in there, you can see that that screw was about to come out of there. So that would have been really bad. If you're familiar with SR20s, throttle body screws going through the motor is a pretty commonly known killer. So I'm glad that happened right here on the dyno and we're able to catch it. That's one of those things where, like, something like that would happen. You're on track, you don't really know it, or you drive through it, you're like, oh, I'll just keep it running, whatever, and eventually that screw would have fallen out and went through the motor. So glad we caught that. I think Scott has another throttle body. We'll find out here in a second. All right, so now you got a little better idea of what's happened. So went to the event, made it there. I didn't really get any clips of me driving because I actually only did about 3 laps at the event. Honestly, for all of us, it was a bit of a rough drift event as far as mechanical stuff goes. Scott was working on his most of the first day. He got to drive a lot the second day though. He was able to get a lot of good clips, get some good laps in and stuff like that. And Marcus, he brought his BMW. He broke a axle, and that kind of took him out. But as crazy as it sounds, and I've said this to the guys that went on the trip with me, it was like one of the worst drifting weekends that I've had. The event itself was just awesome. Chase Bays did a good job with their first ever event they put on, and just like, I don't know, just the whole vibe of it was pretty good. So yeah, I enjoyed it. And now here we are with the broken S14. So you know, even though it's broken, I would say this setup, it owes me nothing. It's a stock engine, completely unopened engine, and it's really been good. I turboed the car in 2021, so like, you know, 3 whole years of being boosted, you know, driven hard and stuff like that. But I think that I was pretty sure that I hurt the head gasket already before we even left. I went to test drive it, and of course, you know, I turned the boost up a few pounds because I have a stronger transmission now. I was like, let's make a little more power, make it a little easier to drive that track, because I'd been there before and I always felt like I needed just a little bit more power. But when I went to test drive it, I came back to check my coolant level. It wasn't overheating or anything, but I just want to check things over before, you know, going to the track, and I had a lot of pressure in my coolant system. This was after the car had cooled off and everything, so that was kind of a sign. So I was like, okay, yeah, maybe we can make it through the weekend, you know, maybe we can make it through or something. But it was too late to get tires from my other car anyway. I'd already, you know, bought tires that were getting delivered to the track. Everything's already booked. I was like, look, it could either work out well or not at all. I don't usually go that way, but I just wanted to hang out anyway. I just want to have a good time, and I was just hoping for the best. But I pretty much knew it was broken. Now, that puts me at a kind of unique spot, though, with the car. And maybe you guys can talk in the comments about it, but do you just fix it? Or do you upgrade a lot of things? Yeah. Or do you think about putting a different type of engine in the car, right? So I don't want to really go way down the rabbit hole of doing all of that. I'm trying to show some restraint on that, because if I go to the last option of swapping to a different engine, the car's down for all of this year, pretty much. I mean, I don't see myself having, time to do some kind of crazy build. But I thought about just going kind of a middle ground on that. I have a lot of parts stacked up for this car already. And since the engine is hurt, I've been wanting to freshen up the engine bay a little bit anyway. So I thought, maybe we'll just do a freshen up on the car. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I don't know, why don't you guys in the comments just kind of talk a little bit about it, Give me some ideas. Tell me what you would do if you had this car with this setup that was pretty reliable, and now should be even more reliable because it has a stronger transmission behind it. But, we'll see. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. I just kind of want to get you guys up to speed. I know not a ton of action on the car itself today, but hopefully this gets us caught up so we can move into some more videos on the rebuild of it. Also, if you want to check out like more content from that event we went to at Polecat for Chase Bays, Grip Royal, they have a really good video on their website from our experience at the track. It's pretty cool. Just kind of, we'll show you how the event went. There's a little bit of driving footage in there and just kind of some of us hanging out and stuff. So check that out. I will try to put a link in the description to their channel, and give them a subscribe while you're at it. They've actually been putting out a lot of content over the past year. They've really been trying to put more stuff on their YouTube page. I mean, yeah, they're a steering wheel company, but a lot of events that they go to, there's drifting. So there's lots of content to make with that. So anyway, thank you for watching. And yeah, let's try to get back to it. I told you that before, but we'll see how it goes this time.